George Hicks, speaking from the Municipal Stadium in Philadelphia, where in a few minutes you will hear a blow-by-blow description of the Joe Louis-Al Ettore boxing match. The coast-to-coast broadcast of the Louis-Ettore fight is being brought to you by RCA Victor, makers of RCA Victor radios, phonographs, radio tubes, and Victor records. Your local RCA Victor dealer, whose cooperation made possible this broadcast, is now showing the complete new 1937 line of RCA Victor radios, featuring the RCA Victor Magic Voice. You owe it to yourself to see and hear the RCA Victor Magic Voice. For both musical artists and sound engineers acclaim it as the greatest development in the reproduction of sound since the orthophonic Victrola. The RCA Victor Magic Voice radio brings entertainment into your home with all the lifelike reality with which it is performed in the studio. The 1937 RCA Victor radios also feature the Magic Brain, Magic Eye, and Metal Radio Tube, each an exclusive RCA Victor achievement. You can afford one of these 1937 RCA Victor radios, for there are 28 models priced under $100. Magic Voice models begin at $129.95. And now, as we've been watching the preliminary bout, one which has just ended in a rather hilarious fashion, with both boys not knowing much but still swinging, I turn the ringside microphone to John B. Kennedy, who, with his chin tucked on the canvas, tells you what he sees.
Good evening, all. Here we are in Philadelphia, passing through a series of preliminary bouts of purely local talent. Most of the boys didn't know each other until the referee introduced them in the ring. This, as you know, is the city of brotherly love. But we're here with the sole intent and purpose of seeing an exhibition of anything but brotherly love. Joe Louis of Alabama and Detroit, and occasionally of Harlem, meets Al Ettore of Philadelphia in about 15 rounds or less. No title is at stake. Yet the customers have gathered in enormous numbers. There you hear the gong and the announcer giving the verdict on this last preliminary. It doesn't seem to be greeted with very affably by the enormous crowd gathered here. More than 50,000 are said to be in the park here, with a gate set to exceed $200,000, which is a considerable sum for a 2 or 3 hour exhibition of the art of exterior decorating, known politely as a boxing contest. Only the upper rim of the vast horseshoe is vacant, and hundreds are standing on the greensward around the ring. Philadelphia has come to life with a rush for this event. The streets were just as crowded this evening as during the recent political convention. The hotels were jammed this afternoon, and flight specials and buses and private auto caravans have been decanting spectators into the city by tens of thousands. Newspaper men tell me that it's extraordinary how what was scheduled as only a bypass bunting practice for Joe Louis on his comeback trail has turned overnight to be a fistic event of the first class, breaking all records for size of gate in an untitled fight, gathering space momentum in the press and acquiring a national radio sponsor of great repute, RCA Victor. Here in this Philadelphia Municipal Stadium, when it was first opened, it traveled under the tough microphone moniker of the Sesquicentennial Stadium. Back in 1926, on sloppy resin under rainy skies, Dynamite Jack Dempsey lost his treasured title to Gene Tunney.
Yes, that is what it is.
Let me see who's in the ring now. The announcer's about to make a statement, and I'll adjourn proceedings for a moment. Mayor Wilson? Mayor Wilson of Philadelphia. Being described as a live wire, Mayor, in case you don't catch the loudspeaker from the ring. Applause for Mayor Wilson. You have heard the mayor's request for a tribute to Bobby Gunness, a partner of the Herman Taylor. Bobby Gunness, as I said, is the late partner of one of the associates in producing this bout with Mike Jacobs of the 20th Century Sporting Club in New York. The crowd is getting a little bit impatient with his honor the mayor. But he still has some of his speech left. Well, there the mayor, amid loud applause and the gong sounding, won a decision over himself with a good speech to open proceedings. According to the experts, and incidentally, let me correct the figure. I've just learned there are 60,000 people present. There is no Dempsey on one hand or Tunney on the other in this ring tonight. But Louis has the glamour of the super slugger. About him, even though he made the tactical error one balmy evening not long ago of shaking Max Schmeling's right hand with his chin. Schmeling, the carbon copy Dempsey, bummed the celebrated brown bomber and exploded with one devastating fist, a myth that Louis was invincible. So Joe staged a comeback. He knocked out ex-champion Jack Sharkey, but Jack is a gentleman of vast age in ring annals, and incidentally, I don't see him here tonight. And that knockout didn't do much to return Louis to the role of a ring terror. Tonight, if he makes quick work of his sturdy opposition, Ettore, a very rugged fighter, they'll be again calling him a killer. And that's what the crowd expects. Although the surprise Schmeling gave them once may be repeated. Who can tell? The betting is lopsided on Louis. They're quoting 3-1 ringside. That I'm told. Well, they did that against Schmeling. They even climbed to 8-1 with no takers, and something like that against Tunney was the level of money when he licked Dempsey in the same bit of scenery. And it is really a stirring scene. In the warm aftermath of a hot day, flags are flying, stars amiably floating over this horseshoe enclosure with its huge flanks banked with seats, its arch jammed likewise, and galaxies of floodlights mocking what's left of a September moon. It's a typical roaring, good-natured fight crowd out for a good time and hoping for a killing. The announcer is going through some routine statements. I don't know whether you can hear him or not. I can very distinctly hear him at this side of the ring. Here we find typical racial representation of the fighters. Ettore, as you know, is of Italian extraction. And, of course, there's no need to repeat that Louis is a Detroit Negro. But it's curious if people think that, of course, two men slug each other in the middle of a roped arena, and here tonight the ropes happen to be green, emerald green, although there isn't an Irish representative present with boxing gloves on just at the moment. But it's curious that people should think that what happens between two slugs in a ring has any effect on racial prestige. There's singing and shouting and a buoyant murmur of expectation during the last of these 9 preliminary bouts. The ushers are spreading more rosin, and incidentally, the ring is principally infected with mosquitoes, many of whom are large enough to wear numbers on their backs to tell them from the fighters. As the promoters have given consolation to anybody who was scalped to the tune of $50 for some of the $10 ducats, they've packed the card with 9 4-rounders and, of course, the 15-round star bout, which is due to come to you in about 4 minutes. As you may know, I'm appearing in a new role for my old sponsor, RCA Victor, with whom I've been associated ever since I introduced John McCormick to sing some of the songs so finally recorded on Victor Records. It's betraying no confidence to tell you that I believe now, as I did then, that RCA Victor gives you the utmost in radio, as you will acknowledge tonight if you are hearing this on an RCA Victor Magic Voice radio. And if you don't have a Magic Voice radio, it won't hurt my feelings if you rush headlong out into the street in large numbers. And here's Ettore rushing into the ring. They've evidently postponed one of the first preliminary bouts, the last preliminary bout, to take on the main bout, to get under the deadline for the broadcast. And here, coming to his seat, is our old friend Clem McCarty, getting ready to give you the blow-by-blow description.
I'll take all the chair I can get here, John. This ringside jam is pretty close.
Get set and be at ease, Clem. You're the guy with the hard job tonight. Have you got plenty of elbow room?
Well, I'm pretty comfortable, thanks, John. Was that somebody shouting my name there?
Why, it seemed to me some guy who knew you in a ringside seat. He seemed to have recognized you through a telescope.
Oh, now, John, it isn't quite that bad.
Well, Louis hasn't made his appearance yet. Do you see him coming down? Is that clearing a path for him down there?
Might be on that side, John.
There's just that little momentary expectance of a tremendous ovation, the crowd holding back to let its lungs loose as Louis comes into the ring. Ettore is in his corner. He seems very confident, a bright, cheery young fellow of 22. How much does he weigh, George?
Johnny weighed in this afternoon at 189 3/4, while Louis hit the beam at 203 1/4, about 13.5 pounds over Ettore. By the way, Lou Tender of the old Southpaws in Al Ettore's corner. See him there?
He's the Tender who fought Benny Leonard so many stirring battles. Incidentally, ladies and gentlemen, the sponsors of this program, RCA Victor, knowing that the contest is conducted under Marquis of Queensberry rules, are also going to conduct the commercials under the same rules, so that you will hear the voice of George Hicks speaking for the sponsor in 10 seconds and 10 seconds only for that limited Queensberry count during the intermissions of Mr. Clem McCarty's blow-by-blow, bruise-by-bruise, clout-by-clout description. Here comes Louis advancing through the enormous aisle. People haven't been aware yet of his presence. Now he's climbing through the ropes in a brilliant dressing gown of purple and red, and the crowd see him. Joe's calm-looking, his poker face shows no emotion whatever. He just passes the curly-haired Ettore, an X-ray glare from his eyes, plants his feet instantly into the rosin. His handlers are talking to him, examining his bandages. The referee comes into the ring, just announced before the fight. We'll have his name for you in a moment. Curiously enough, there are colored handlers on both sides. Ettore has one, swinging a towel for him. Both gentlemen are attired in the trimmest sort of ring apparel. They have the neatest trunks. So neat, in fact, that I suspect they might be 2 pairs of Mahatma Gandhi's Sunday suits. The gloves are brought in, mahogany-colored gloves with long, trim laces. They're being tied on to each fighter's hand. Joe is saying nothing. He's just sucking his mouthpiece with that long, you'd think almost easy-to-hit jaw. Yet there was only one man who found it easy to hit. That was Mr. Schmeling. And I don't see Mr. Schmeling here. Oh, yes, I remember. He wasn't due to be here since he seems, I think, to be in Germany. You hear the rattle of the typewriters all around the ring. There are many celebrated correspondents here. I see Damon Runyon with Mrs. Runyon during one of the preliminary bouts, which became particularly vicious and claret flowed. Mrs. Runyon held held a newspaper to her face.
John, there comes Gene Tunney.
Here's the great Gene Tunney, who won the championship of the world in this very same ring from Jack Dempsey 10 years ago, almost to this very night. George, see, wait a minute. Tunney, pardon me, I got the wrong steer. I'll get his name, though. They're entitled to that. He looks exactly like Gene Tunney. Joe McGuigan?
No.
Joe McGuigan is the referee. Who is this man who looks like Tunney, George? You fooled me for a minute. Well, here comes the parade, the usual showing off of white hopes and claimants and sub-claimants and challengers for the heavyweight championship. I ought to be able to read them left to right, but I can't because their backs are turned to me in this neutral corner. But the announcer will probably introduce them all if you can hear over this suspended microphone in the center of the ring. Young Jack McGuigan, Mr. Coram supplying me, Mr. Bill Coram of the Journal, supplying me with the information as to who the referee is. Who's he, Bill?
Young Jack McGuigan.
Young Jack McGuigan.
He's the referee.
The judges are taking their position. The timekeeper smacks his gong. The knockdown timekeeper, who's been very busy here because heavyweights were dropping around us like bombs on a Spanish loyalist town. I hope you hear that announcement from the center of the ring. Who is that challenger?
Marty Gallagher. Marty Gallagher.
Marty Gallagher. No matter he looked. No wonder he looked so very much like Tunney. Well, they're about to play the theme song, On the Ice Swing, Baby. Here near me is Joe Williams, star writer of the Script Howard Syndicate. Hi-Fi Go. The announcer is now introducing the aspirants for the heavyweight title. After either Mr. Braddock or Mr. Lewis or both relinquish it. Right ahead of us, suspended about 30 feet, are batteries of motion picture cameras, aching to get into action. Lewis has opened his mouth for the first time since getting in the ring, and that's to greet one of these fighters, to whom he says, "Oh, boy." What strikes me about Ettore, he isn't the least nervous. I'm watching his legs, and a fighter's legs are usually the tip-off as to his mental condition because they quiver when he's excited. This young man is as marmoreal-limbed, and marmoreal's a long word for meaning cool, as Joe Lewis himself. Now I detect a little touch of anxiety in Lewis as he watches the other man's coolness. Ettore's handler very skillfully places himself now where Lewis cannot glare at Ettore. There's a curious person who looks like a cretin, evidently coming to wish both fighters luck. He might be one of the singer-midgets, except he isn't singing.
Hey, hi, Jack.
The referee's chewing gum, sizing up both men. He's a very competent-looking arbiter.
The only smile that's gotten out of Lewis tonight is when this little midget boy
Yes,
came
I
in.
couldn't see Joe smile. I see him now. He's a bit, Lewis has either the mark of a man who's very anxious or else very eager to get home. The referee is,
Jack McGuigan.
as I've said, Jack McGuigan. And
He's Jack
chewing
McGuigan,
gum,
Jr., son of the old
chewing
Jack
gum
McGuigan.
calmly, the son of a very famous referee before him, has on a neat gray shirt, buckle belt, dark gray trousers, soft shoes, a handsome black bow, and a still handsomer part in his shiny black hair. Now Lewis has taken off his dressing gown. There are murmurs through the crowd, and expectancy that either this will end, as many of the experts have predicted, in less than 5 rounds, and possibly in less than 1, Although some of them tell me that if Ettore, who is a very rugged fellow and an awkward fighter, using 4 elbows through every round, Ettore, who can make even the most skillful or the deadliest rapier-like fighter like Joe Louis look clumsy at times, that if he gets by the 5th round, they say the thing is going the limit. The Philadelphia crowd is mostly Philadelphian, is very orderly. George, did you get some of that preliminary record?
Yes, John. We have a list of the previous records of these two boys.
Let me interrupt for a second to say that Jimmy Braddock's coming into the ring to get a very big hand. He's shaking hands with Joe Louis now. And you observe that he shakes hands very tenderly because Mr. Braddock is reported to have rather fragile weapons just now, which has made him postpone a heavyweight contest until next year. Now, George, while a few minutes remain.
All right, John. Ettore, although the same age as Joe Louis, 22, has had several years' experience on the bomber. Ettore has been fighting 8 years, 6 years as a pro and 2 years as an amateur. Louis has been in the ring 6 years, but 3 of those years only were as a pro.
Champion James Braddock has a word to say to the radio audience. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Hello, everybody. It sure is a great night here tonight. It's going to be a great fight. I wish you all here to see it.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Continue, George.
All right, John, and to go on, I was saying that Ettore boxed 2 years as an amateur in Philly, and then in 1930 he turned professional. He's had 72 bouts, while Louis has had 29 professional scraps. Ettore's greatest fame has come, as most of you followers know, from his 3 decisions over the brilliant Negro Leroy Haynes. And now we await the outcome and the first round of Louis and Ettore.
Mr. Clem McCarthy, who has tuned up his tonsils for the effort tonight, is all ready to go as the fighters are. Clem, the air is yours.
Thank you, John. And the fight will begin in just a few moments, I am sure. He's still making announcements here from the center of the ring. Now giving the weight of the fighters. Ettore, 189 and a quarter. Joe Louis, 203. And Louis is sitting very quietly in his corner. Ettore, a blond, rugged-looking fellow, is sitting, waiting here in his corner. Luke Tendler close by. Jack Blackburn, the master of Joe Louis, stands over him, leaning on the ropes. Behind Joe Louis is Johnny Roxborough. No change of expression in Joe Louis's face. Incidentally, the judges are being announced as Al Boyce and Eddie Lochran. Eddie happens to be a brother of the famous Tommy Lochran of Philadelphia. The referee is Jack McGuigan, Jr., a son of a former well-known fighter in Philadelphia, Jack McGuigan. They call him Old Jack, and this fellow, Jack Jr. He has now called the fighters to the ring. I don't believe that this public address system will carry this strong enough for you to hear the words of the referee with the crowd cheering and getting upon their toes, ready for the fight. Nearly all of the handlers, with the exception of Jack Blackburn and Julian Black of the Louis camp and Luke Tendler of the Torres camp, have left the ring. John Roxborough stands on the side over there waiting patiently. We are in a neutral corner. There, they've been sent back to their corners. Blackburn is adjusting Louis's mouthpiece, giving him a final pat, saying, "Do this and do that, chappie." They've stepped out of the ring, and now you may get on your toes upon the edges of your seat. We're just about ready to go. And the very last moment, from Tendler's corner over here, and Tendler, the manager, they're on their way out of the corner. And they come out, Ettore coming fast. And he rushed into Louis, and he is punching with all he's got. Louis merely trying to tie him up and pushing him against the ropes. McGuigan pulled them apart, and once again Ettore stepped in and missed with a wide left swing. And then he ran straight into a hard right uppercut at close quarters. Louis is taking his time with him and letting him rush in. Around here, the Philadelphians are urging Ettore to keep tearing in. He landed just then a left hook to Louis's jaw and followed it with a left hook to the body. But I doubt if they carried much punch. And Louis got in a right smash to the stomach. And there, Ettore got over another left hook to the side. But Louis keeps bearing in, and there Louis met him with a straight left and straight right, a right to the body. There, a hard right to the head. And once more they clinched over in Louis's corner. Louis jabbed with a left, but Ettore rushed by that left. And he got Louis with a hard left to the jaw. And Lewis is coming in on him now, looking very confident. And there was a left uppercut to Ettore's jaws, but it only stopped him momentarily. But he is down from a hard right smash to the jaw. The count is 3, and Ettore is up. He did not wait for that count. He rushed in again, and Lewis is all ready to finish fast if he can. Lewis missed with a left swing, and he's ready. The right hand is caught. They're in my corner. There's hard rights and left from Lewis to Ettore's head. Ettore pushed his way out and ran straight into a hard smash against the ropes. He's got Lewis over against the ropes, but Lewis wiggled out. The referee broke them. Ettore missed with a light left to the face, and Lewis tied him up once more in the center of the ring. They exchanged rights and lefts to the face that didn't amount to a great deal there. The referee broke them, and now Lewis is forcing Ettore over to his corner. He has bruised Ettore's eye just above the brow, and there he jabbed him with one of those typical straight Lewis lefts. 5 lefts in succession, and there Lewis tried with a left hook, and it missed. But he connected with one, and Ettore, in letting go a straight left and then a hard right, slipped and went to the floor. But Lewis stepped back and gave him time to get up. The referee helped him to his feet. They're in the center of the ring. The rushing is out of Ettore for the moment, and Lewis is now forcing the fighting, pushing Ettore back around the ring. He's got him in that neutral corner over there, and he's ready to stab him with a left and then to follow with a right. But there he missed with the left, and Ettore tore in and got a good hard right to the eye, and then he got another slashing left hand across the face. Just missed him a little further back and might have done some damage. Over in there, in the other corner from us, the other neutral corner, they're in a tangle once again. Lewis is taking his time, apparently very confident. And Ettore is not rushing anymore. He's willing and trying, but he's now crouching and tries to come up in there with first a right and then a left. He hasn't landed any real solid punches on Lewis in the last few instants, and there Lewis landed a good left hook to Ettore's stomach just as the referee broke them. In the center of the ring once more, Lewis is crowding Ettore back towards my corner, and Ettore let go with a hard left swing that caught Lewis flush on the jaw, but did no damage. Lewis in the center of the ring is forcing against Ettore, and there Ettore exchanged with him rights and lefts vigorously and hard, and Lewis shot hard rights and lefts to the body. John Kennedy, you're on the air.
Okay, Clem McCarthy, that was a very long 3 minutes for Mr. Ettore, who felt one bomb from the brown bomber, which dropped him in the first minute of the round. Lewis is fighting a cool, heady game. Seemed to me to take one stinger from Ettore, but then he was master of the situation, as Mr. McCarthy told you. George Hicks is here with a 10 minutes Marquis of Queensbury rules. Go ahead, George.
Thank you, John. It's 10
seconds.
seconds. And ladies and gentlemen, 10 seconds for the thrilling new RCA Victor Magic Voice Radio is all you need to know that your next radio should be an RCA Victor Magic Voice set. All right, John Kennedy.
Okay, George. You may have heard hoarse voices in the background. Those are Ettore's handlers who became very frantic. McCarty, you have it.
And none of them are magic voices, John. Now we will see a little magic fighting, perhaps, right here in the ring. They're coming up already. Just about 3 seconds more, and the bell will ring. Blackburn is instructing Lewis carefully, and Lewis comes out cautiously with the left hand up, and that right hand still down, a little bit low. And Ettore got in there with a left to the face that was very light. Lewis tried with a left that was light, and Lewis is crowding him. Now he jabbed with him to the left, and it missed. Ettore pulled up his trunks and set back, and then he rushed in on Lewis. He's up against a longer reach. That's one disadvantage that Ettore has. Lewis outmeasures him and reached by quite a few inches, and Ettore finds it hard to get up in there and get at Lewis with a good solid punch. He's willing and he rushes. There, a little light exchange, and Ettore backed away towards me. Lewis is crowding him towards me. Lewis let out with an easy left, but it did no damage at all. Just tapped him in the face. There, Lewis, another light tap by Lewis, and Ettore got in there left and right, and there he got in a good left to Lewis's stomach, and a right to the jaw that didn't carry much power behind it. And Lewis tied him up, and the referee broke them. Back in the center of the ring, Lewis is backing Ettore toward the other neutral corner, and Ettore backing away is watching his chance. He leads in there. No, Lewis with the left hand there. Ettore led with a left swing that missed by a quarter of an inch. And Lewis was just the outside of it, and then Lewis let him have a left to the face. Another left, but they're very light. They're not those old-time lefts, those jabs that hurt so badly, but they may come any minute. The right hand was cocked then, but it didn't go. Lewis held it back. He's waiting for that shot, and he missed there with the right hand. He missed Ettore with that hard right. Missed him by a good inch. Now he's in there with that left again, and Ettore got in a terrific left to Lewis's stomach. And Lewis backed away, then came right at Ettore again, and once more is pressing him, leading with left, the right hand always cocked, and Ettore came in with right and left at that time, and both blows landed. And there was a good left to the jaw by Ettore, and another left to the neck. And Lewis gave ground and backed against the ropes. They're tied in a clinch, and the referee is breaking them over in that corner. They're coming back to the center of the ring. Ettore has got his back to me. Lewis is crowding him, and then Ettore rushes in with a left that does no damage. Lewis tries with a left, just a light left. Lewis is crowding him to the other corner, and there Lewis let go the 1-2. The right and the left. He's giving it again. Lewis is giving first right and then left. Hard rights and lefts to the body. A right to the body that connected hard. But Ettore is fighting back gamely and trying to clinch, but he's up against size. And Ettore in against the ropes again. Got in a left, and there he tried with a right uppercut to Lewis that missed. Lewis crowded him to the ropes, his head down against Ettore's chest. Now they're in the center of the ring. The referee broke them. Lewis used him quite harshly there in that exchange against the ropes with hard left. And there, if Lewis had landed that right, it would have done some damage. A straight right to the jaw. Ettore rushed inside of another right and clinched with Lewis in the center of the ring. And there, at close range, he landed a slight left on Lewis's jaw. Now in the center of the ring, Ettore once more is backing away slightly. Lewis following, and Lewis keeps lunging out with a little left and then a hard right. That right connected, a right to the jaw. But Ettore was riding the punch and got away, and Ettore came right back in with a hard left to Lewis's jaw, and at close quarters he got in a right uppercut, and just at the bell, Lewis brought over a hard right overhand that landed on the back of Ettore's neck just as the bell rang. John Kennedy again.
Okay, Clem. Mr. Ettore took enough punishment in that round to finish Primo Carnera, the best pocket Venetian, when he had his fight with our friend Mr. Lewis, because he's taken some of the best things that Mr. Lewis has to give. In fact, ringsiders here seem to have been disappointed that the kill didn't take place in the second round.
George? The thrill packed in every punch of this fight becomes a stirring, living sensation when you hear it through a new 1937 RCA Victor Magic Voice Radio. And that's right, John. And it's the third coming up, John Kennedy.
Lem McCarthy, I came watching keenly. I came studying the effect on Lewis. Go ahead.
I am going to try to use one of those magic eyes, John, because if these both are feet right and left over against Ettore on the ropes there, they come very fast. Although Ettore comes back with some good hard game exchanges. Ettore comes out not quite the fastest time, but willing. And he lunged, he missed with the left and drove a hard right to Lewis's head that landed on Lewis's shoulder, and Lewis tied him up in a clinch in the center of the ring, and they exchanged lights to blows, both hands that didn't amount to anything. The referee broke them, and they're in the center of the ring. Lewis keeps his left hand in Ettore's face. Once more, Lewis has got that left working, as usual, a piston-like left. And there he tried with a left hook, but stopped it halfway in, and Ettore rushed in with a hard left hook that landed on Lewis's jaw, and a good right to Lewis's stomach. Lewis came back with a hard right to Ettore's head, but he took it and stepped into a clinch. They're punching there in a clinch over against the ropes. Ettore leaning against Lewis. Referee McGuigan broke them and stepped back. Lewis is in the center of the ring. He led with light left and barely crouched, but no exchange. And Ettore then let go with a left that carried nothing. And now Lewis is crowding Ettore back to the side of the ring. And Ettore crouching, then standing up straight. And he let go with a hard right that landed on Lewis's ear. And Lewis stepped into a clinch. Right into a clinch, and Ettore is getting much encouragement from the hometown groupers here. They're strong for him, and he's putting up a very game fight here. A good, courageous fight, and taking everything that Lewis gives and giving back plenty of his own. They're in a clinch again in the center of the ring, and light exchange of rights and lefts. The referee broke them, and Ettore went in with a left to Lewis's body, and then got over that right to Lewis's head. Lewis got in a right to Ettore's head, and another right to his head, and Ettore stepped into a clinch. There was an exchange that Ettore seemed to have the best of, and Ettore threw the hard left to Lewis's face. That expression on Lewis's face is something like the one we saw the night with Snelling. It is not the confident Lewis. Lewis then led with a light left, and Lewis tried with a hard right. There's plenty of punch in that, plenty of power behind that right, but it is missing. And there Lewis missed with a straight left, and then he tried a hard right at close quarters. Ettore tied him up. They're right here against the ropes above me. The referee separates them, and Ettore is still behind me here, or right, I should say right in front of me. And he tried with a left that didn't do any damage. Lewis tied him up, another clinch. They're out there in the center of the ring. Once more, the referee broke them. Ettore stepped back, is full of confidence, and he is trying hard. He's stepping back now. Lewis Lewis led with a light left and missed with the right. And then Ettore tied him up in a clinch. There at close quarters, each man got in light right uppercut. No damage. And there Lewis threw over a hard right to Ettore's head. So far, Ettore has shown ability to take those rights. Lewis's left is not working in its usual piston-like fashion. It's missing time and again. The right is doing more damage. Ettore has got the ducking under his right. Then ties him up in a clinch. And there at close quarters, almost in a clinch, he let Lewis have one hard on the side of the head. The referee broke them. Lewis was trying to keep him at a distance. And Ettore feinted, then stepped back. And Lewis got in a straight left to Ettore's face that carried nothing at all, while Ettore exchanged the right to Lewis's head. And there, Ettore tied Lewis up in a clinch and got in a couple of light punches to Lewis's body. So far, the fight is far from being one-sided, as a great many expected. Far from it. Don't you think so, John Kennedy?
I'm quite sure of it. I don't know whether the crucial moment of the fight occurred in this round, but there was one moment when Lewis struck like a brown cobra. Ettore's head chopped back fully 3 feet. Yet he came back for more. There is the test of courage. And that's my reply to a large gentleman with several tummies who's been calling upon Mr. Lewis to disassemble Mr. Ettore in the earliest possible moment.
John, it looks like a real fight tonight. And no matter whether it's a fight, a football game, a concert, or a variety show, you can hear it as it sounds to actual spectators with a 1937 RCA Victor Magic Voice Radio. Am I right?
Quite right. Mr. McCarthy is quite right, too, when he says that this promises to be a wow of a fight if it lasts for 2 more rounds, with Mr. Ettore taking those punches.
And here we come up for the 4th round. The whistle. That is the 10-second signal before the bell. Jack Blackburn is standing there beside Lewis and giving him final instructions. There he takes the towel from his shoulders and they step into the ring. Ettore with a great deal of that confidence. That confidence that has plenty of courage behind it. No fear. He's afraid of nothing that Lewis has. He feels that he sampled Lewis's best. And there in a clinch in the center of the ring, they exchange right and left. And Ettore gave as much as Lewis did. And when they broke, neither fighter had anything, and they stepped back into a second clinch. Now Ettore ducked in, crouched low, and got under a left of Lewis's and got in one of his own rights to Lewis's body. Now Lewis is trying again with the left. Got that right hand still caught, trying to put it over. But Ettore ducks under the left hand and also gets under the right hand when Lewis shoots. Again, Ettore charged in and tied Lewis up in a clinch. And there, as they clinch, he is wrestling with Lewis against the ropes. And the referee has to break them. Lewis backs away toward the corner of the ring. Ettore rushes in on him. And once again, they're tied up in a clinch. There's more clinching in this fight than any fight I ever saw in which Joe Lewis participated. Ettore ties him up time and again. And Lewis seems quite willing to be tied up. There, another clinch. And with no offensive of any kind by Lewis. Either he has no offensive or he's waiting. And Ettore ducked in there quick and shot a hard left to Lewis's body, and Lewis gave him a hard right to the jaw in exchange. Now in the center of the ring, Lewis got a miss with a hard right, and there he pulled the right. He had it started and took it back because Ettore was coming in on him, and he held that right hand, and they went into a clinch against the rope. Again, McQuiggan had to break them. Ettore has plenty of confidence. And there Lewis jabbed him twice with the left hand, once high, and there he got over a hard right to Ettore's jaw that made Ettore rock back against the ropes. But Ettore came in and ran straight into a left uppercut on the jaw, right into the chin, and there was a hard left hook to the jaw just in front of the ear that shook up Ettore good. Lewis is crowding Ettore in his own corner, and he drove a hard left hook to Ettore's body, then a left hook to his face. Ettore missed with right and left. Lewis missed with the right, and then Lewis got in a right left to Ettore's face. Now Lewis is turning loose with right and left, and turning fast. He has cut Ettore's eyes. His left eye is badly cut. Lewis is pursuing him across the ring, first with left and then with right. And one good solid punch by Lewis might finish this fight right here in the 4th round. Lewis is charging him and watching every chance. And there's the right hand that sends Ettore down on his face. The count is 5, 6, 7. He's on a knee. 8, 9. He's up. Upon time, his eye is cut slightly, and Lewis came in with a fast left hook, and then a hard right cross to the head that caught Ettore flush on the cheek. And there Lewis at close quarters is trying to wriggle loose from a clinch and get in rights and lefts. He rocked Ettore then with a left to the jaw and a right to the body. Now he's got him against the rope, and it's just a question of whether he hits him. He's showering right and left. Ettore is fighting gamely, throws back everything he's got as fast as he can. Lewis is driving a hard right there to Ettore's jaw. Another right to Ettore's jaw, and Ettore wobbles off the rope at the bell. He's in the center of the ring, unbowed, and ready for more. There you are, John Kennedy, at the end of the fourth round.
Ettore is the hero of this round because Joe pummeled him and threw everything he had at him, but he came up fighting for more by instinct, not by skill. He took one terrific smash on the chin, one of those that make you wear your teeth on the outside. And it spilled him, and I thought he'd never get up, but here he is in his corner, waiting for the gong to sound again. I'm Mr. McCarthy, about to report to you what may be a knockdown or a knockout, or else a comeback as great as any in the history of recent prize fighting. Take it, Clem.
Well, I should say it is, and we're already here for the fifth round, John. I was just trying to get an idea from the boys around the side of the ring what they thought of it so far. And I must report to you that up to this round, they were quite confident it was going to be a good fight. But when Lewis turned loose, after about 1/2 minute of that fifth round and really let go, he was the Lewis that we've seen in so many great fights. Ettore's eye has been patched there, and he's already coming out game and ready. Steps right in, but Lewis has that look on him that he's means business to finish it now if he can. This is the fifth round of the Joe Louis-Al Ettore fight in Philadelphia. And there, early in this fifth round, in the center of the ring, Lewis got in a left hook to the body just above the belt line, and then a hard right to the jaw that bounced Ettore back to my corner. He bounced off the ropes and sparred away from Lewis. Lewis got in a left to the face and missed with a right, and there Lewis laid the heel of his glove against Ettore's jaw, pushed his head back, and was warned by the referee and booed by the crowd. He apologized to the referee, and Ettore went on. Ettore rushed in and landed a left hook to Lewis and missed with a right. Now Lewis is crowding Ettore back to the other side against the ropes, and Lewis landed a light left to the jaw and was slightly off balance himself. Ettore fought back very lustily there and landed a good hard right to Lewis's body and tied Lewis up in a clinch. They're trying to exchange right uppercuts and left hooks without effect. The referee parted them, and each landed with a light left to the face. Now Lewis is crowding Ettore to his own corner, lashing out with that left, and Ettore drove over a hard right that went over Lewis's shoulder. He was just inside of it. Now Lewis has got him against the ropes, and there was a left hook under the jaw that started him, and a right sent him to the ground. And the count is 5, 6, 7, he's on his knees, 8, 9, 10, and he couldn't get up and fell over the rope. Ettore went to get up, and he fell between the ropes and landed outside, pushed back by the press boys and grabbed by his trainers. He's a very, very tired, very much used up young man. Lewis is looking fresh here in the corner, and he's all ready. John Kennedy, be ready to take it.
Go ahead, Clem. Hop up there. Mr. McCarthy's getting into the ring. They've taken Lewis's mouthpiece out of his mouth. He's standing there. He's got up quite a sweat on this one because Mr. Ettore was a pretty tough customer who had everything he handed him until this last round when he simply couldn't stand these flailing, lightning-like fists of Lewis. Joe's coming towards the microphone now, which Mr. McCarthy holds for him.
Go ahead. You ready down there, John Kennedy? Joe Lewis, it looks like congratulations are in order once again.
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to go on all my broadcasts.
Well, Joe, you looked at your best when you cut loose in that fifth round.
Right.
Was there any time in the fight that you were wondering just about the outcome?
Well, I don't know.
Tell me the truth now,
Joe. I guess all the fights.
Huh?
I guess all the fighters got you puzzled.
Got you a little puzzled, huh? You looked kind of puzzled to me early in the fourth round, but when you cut loose, why, there was quite a change. And I know, Julian Black, that you're very happy over this outcome tonight.
Very happy tonight.
Joe looked as good to you, now tell me frankly, does he look as good to you as he always has before?
Yes, he looked very good to us, and his opponent was a very game boy.
Very game.
Very game, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Got a lot of nerve.
Johnny Roxborough, see if you can bring Jack Blackburn over here. See if we can get Jack over. He's been on this microphone many a time. He's a little mic shy, but he's better than he thinks he is. Jack, congratulations once again. Your chappie was quite a fighter tonight. Yes, sir.
My boy was a lucky boy tonight, and I'm tickled to death to be back in Philadelphia once more.
What do you mean he was lucky?
Well, that's my old word there when they knock him dead out there, lucky.
You are still content that any fighter who wins or lands a blow is
He's
lucky?
a lucky man.
Well, now there you have Joe Lewis's version. He told you that he's willing to admit that nearly every fighter, at some time in a battle, is a little bit puzzled, as we thought he looked tonight from down here in the first row. I'm going over here on the other side. John Kennedy, what have you got? I want you to take that microphone, John,
Coram
a long
doing
ways
nothing
down.
particular. Make him give an eye version of what he saw in this last round.
Coram.
Want me to pass it down?
No, just say what you saw in the last round. We're watching it very closely.
Ettore made a good game fight here tonight, but he tore right in and he tore right out again in that fifth round when Lewis nailed him with two left hooks. The first one, as good a punch as I ever saw in any fight. Proves again that Lewis can punch with either hand because he had Ettore in trouble and almost out in the first round, and again in the fourth with right hand, turned around and knocked him out with two left hooks. The first one is Jim Braddock, who was sitting behind me, said, "Oh," when it hit. And to prove that Ettore is a gamester and a fine young fighter, he tried to get up, was on his feet as 9, and then pitched right out of the ropes at his own corner. It was a good fight, a great night, and we saw a great fighter, and every time you see him, you'll see a great fighter because that's all he knows, to go in there and punch. Thank you very much.
Mr. McCarthy? Mr. McCarthy, I think you better go through your resume of the entire fight.
John,
You know the time it ended in the last round, Clem?
No, I didn't get that yet. I want to get those things. John, I want you to bear with me in just a moment and handle this color while I get a few of those details here. Been too busy up there trying to get a hold of Joe Lewis. John, once again, please.
We'll do it while they're bringing in the last bout, a 4-rounder between two preliminary boys. The fight officially ended in 1 minute, 28 seconds of the 5th round, which isn't up to Mr. Lewis's average record for his knockouts, but will do for the present. He seemed to be quite satisfied with his night's work. A curious thing, the stillness of expectancy that came over the crowd when its expectations had been fulfilled. They sat there waiting for the kill, knowing that it would come, although those of us who were very close, who had a mosquito eye view of the proceedings, because I observed that these hundreds of mosquitoes are still strolling along the resin, quite undisturbed. Indeed, they've gone to the social extent of inviting their friends and relatives to come and witness a fight from the ground up. The crowd, as I say, has been well behaved throughout. What I particularly observed was the competence of this fight manager, of this fight referee tonight. He circled the players gracefully. He interfered with them only when he had to. And when Lewis made one little social blunder, forgetting his Mrs. Emily post by poking his thumb very determinedly into Mr. Ettore's nose, a process which the result of the fight shows was not at all scientifically necessary, the referee soundly scolded Mr. Lewis, made him apologize and behave. But here's Mr. Hicks with another 10 seconds worth.
The crowd is already beginning to leave. The big fight is over. John, this one will be a little more than 10 seconds because it's the last. Ladies and gentlemen, the broadcast of the Lewis-Ettore fight was brought to you by RCA Victor and its dealers. Now, John, through John B. Kennedy and Clem McCarthy, every effort was made to make you a ringside spectator of this exciting